I don't care.
How's your angle like? Is I got a good angle.
Okay.
And as you please, whenever.
Yeah, okay. I got into canoeing. I've been told when I was a little baby, I came home from the hospital and my mom took me out in her arms, and it was I don't remember anything, but it was like in the family favorite chestnut at Meech Lake, and they say I didn't even squawk, I just smiled the whole time. So that's pretty cool story to have. And then I've just continued canoeing. I just love it. I don't know why. I guess I have it in my blood. My dad was a filmmaker at the National Film Board of Canada. He made these wonderful canoeing instructional movies, and I guess I've just carried on that legacy, adding my own personality to it, my own skill, and that's really cool. When I say I've carried on, I'm doing more things. Going overseas. I went on 2 6-week tours in Europe and UK, introducing people into Canadian canoeing, and it's pretty cool to be able to do that. Just show your enthusiasm for the skill of canoeing.
How is Canadian canoeing different than European canoeing, or do they do canoeing there?
The difference between Canadian canoeing and Europe overseas canoeing is Canadians think they know how to canoe. They think it's in their blood and they don't need lessons. So they canoe for about 20 years, flail around, and then think, well, maybe we should have some lessons. Overseas in Europe and the UK, they take lessons because it's a big outlay. They actually ship canoes over from Canada and they take lessons so they know how to canoe. And they're gorgeous canoeists because of this. So it is a totally different genre. Of course, Canadians are wonderful canoeists, but the majority just flail around, and the Europeans are actually learning the skills right from square one. So it's really a joy to teach them.
Are Americans similar to Canadians in their canoeing?
So the States, the difference between Canada and the States is our location. The States have more smaller bodies of water, generally speaking, and they go out for a canoe like for an hour or two, and it's very immediate. In Canada, we have huge bodies of water that connect all over our land, so we tend to go tripping, and that's where our roots originated, and we continue on that. So that's sort of the difference. And in Europe, they have very, very controlled waterways, and that's why they develop their skills so highly, because they don't have very many waterways to paddle. They're very limited. They actually have rules that they can't paddle in certain areas.
What's your fondest memory in terms of canoeing? Like whether it's way back or recent, what's your fondest memory of canoeing, and why?
My fondest is like it's a direct memory of the last time I went canoeing. So of course, I went down the Bazin River, which is just 6 hours north of Ottawa, way up in Quebec. And my fondest memory is just floating with my husband along the river, paddling on a nice misty morning, and we saw this lynx. And so Reed got out the camera. I kept paddling like a nice Indian stroke without any drops, and we paddled 14 feet away from this beautiful lynx. They're very shy animals, and it just sat there.
Do any of the animals ever make you nervous that you're that close to them?
The only animal that makes me nervous is moose in rut when they're looking for a mate. They're very dangerous. They will charge trains and derail them. So I have been in a canoe when a moose has come charging out of the forest, and I paddle faster. So Ray and I have known each other for a couple of years. How I was introduced to him, he phoned me up and said, I'd like to do a piece on Canadian canoeing. I'm making a birch bark canoe, but I'd like to film you, and could you represent sort of Canada? I'm going, well, I can't really do that, Ray, but I'd be happy to canoe with you. And we just went out for a day with the camera crew, and he cut it into his sequence of this canoe series he had. So we've been having a good chat every once in a while. He calls me from Lapland, like he's on a cell phone in the middle of an igloo or tent or whatever, and he says, oh, hi, Becky, and he's just hilarious. So we've kept in touch. And then he just gave me a call one day, said, I'd like you to teach my wife and a week lessons at Meech Lake. So I said, great, sure, I'd be up for that. But instead of teaching at Meech Lake, why don't we go on a canoe trip? So we went on a little canoe trip. I taught lessons, and we got along really well. We got to know each other. He's so skilled. He's a lovely man, too. And so he's invited me to go on a trip as the Canoeist instructor for flatwater canoeing, and then we're going in Northern Ontario.
Do you have one canoe that you use all the time, or do you have a variety of different types of canoes?
I love all canoes. I love synthetic canoes. I love the traditional canoes. And you give me the choice between canvas, wood canoe, I'll pick it. Doesn't matter what shape it is. I will pick a canvas wood canoe. There's nothing like it. The beautiful sound it makes while the water's lapping on the hull feels really warm in the spring. Like right now it's a bit chilly, but if you get your wood canvas canoe, it's nice and warm. The cool doesn't come through your legs so much. So it's pretty nice.